Second Salem Brewing Company here in Whitewater. Quick reminder that next week we'll be just up the road at Sax's next Thursday night for the Quarterback Club and Cool 106.5 Coaches Show. The social hour begins at 6 and we'll be on the air at 7 o'clock at Sax's next Thursday night. Of course, our broadcast tomorrow night, 6:40 with the pregame from the Perk, and kickoff is at 7:05. Joining us on the program right now, seems like this guy's been around forever. A long time. Kyle Supianoski joining us this evening here on Cool 106.5. Kyle's career as one of the long line of great linebackers that we've had here at UW-Whitewater, and you stuck around and you've gone through your grad assistant work, and now you're on the staff. And I tell you what, you've done a great job with a lot of these young guys here, kind of imparting the knowledge that you've had over the years.
Oh yeah, it all started with a player and transferring here and figuring out how that all went as a player, and then moving on from a student assistant, GA, to full-time coach. So I ran the gambit, so I know kind of where it starts from the ground up and moving on. So I'm able to talk to some of the players on some of their level and work with some of the guys that are transferring or coming out of state, and just try to understand where they're coming from and try to level with them a little bit.
Was there something about UW-Whitewater that you experienced as a player that made you want to stick around and be a coach?
Oh, just the atmosphere here. All the people here are really great. When it was my girlfriend at the time, now my wife. We have 2 little boys at home, and just the whole atmosphere, the family atmosphere here at Whitewater, and how just accepting everyone was of us being new and different and a transfer, and everyone's just all in, and it just really just, you jump in with both feet. And like I said, I stepped foot on here December of 2008, and I've never left. So I felt the same thing to all the recruits, but it really is a good place, and it's a great place to raise a family and a fun place to do.
You're pretty modest about it, Kyle, but I know in talking to head coach Kevin Bullis when he was assembling the coaching staff, and one of the things that he was looking at were guys, and like when Brent Allen came back to be on the staff, he wanted guys on the staff that had been through it before, that were able to kind of lead the way a little bit, but not necessarily for maybe our juniors and seniors right now because they've had their own success, but for the new guys coming in. He wanted to keep that continuity. Do you feel comfortable with that?
Oh, 100% comfortable. I have the utmost respect for Coach Bullis, Kevin Bullis. He was a brand new guy. He's actually my linebacker coach when I first got here in the spring, and he's a funny story about me just not listening in a cover 2 drop. I'll tell it one of these days, but
that wouldn't happen, would it?
No, never. But yeah, just an amazing atmosphere. To get the coaches back with Brent Allen, you know, Jace Rindle, and then to add in Craig Smith and Rob Erickson and everybody with the way we've gelled as a staff and just coming together. And it really is an amazing opportunity for everyone to be here. And it's nice that really all these different people with all these different experiences, some being here, playing here, some from other programs in the YAC, and to come here and just gel the way we have and just be all about the team and the process. And it's really nice to be around people that are so knowledgeable and just love the game so much.
Your experience as a player as a linebacker, this season you're coaching defensive tackles, and you've had kind of an interesting route from being a linebacking player to a defensive tackle coach. You've jumped around a little bit on the staff.
Yeah, it's been an interesting journey. For my own sake, it's actually really good for myself as a coach for coaching the safeties, the linebackers, the defensive tackles. Now I did a stint over with the offense coaching the running back. So selfishly, it's been really, really good for my professional development and just the amount I've learned from Nelson Edmonds, Coach Kolenicky before, Coach Bullis, Coach Kishline, Coach Borland, all these great football minds that I've been around, and I just get to pick and choose from everything, all the good things from them, and add my own little bit of flavor, I guess you would say, to it. But just to be a well-rounded coach is just awesome to get the experience of the back half, the middle, the front, going over to the offense, and all that is just making me a better coach. So I'm just trying to get in where I fit in, and along the way I've just learned so much knowledge of the game and been around so many good coaches, so I can't complain whatsoever.
You mentioned that you now are a quote-unquote full-time coach. What do you do in addition to coaching at Whitewater?
I teach a couple of classes actually, so I have my master's degree, so this first semester is actually the first classes I taught, it was a little bit of an experience getting used to putting the syllabus together and all that. But, you know, in the meeting room, we teach every day. You know, we're on the board where we have something that we need to teach them, and we're breaking it down from a fundamental standpoint, you know, step by step with practice, and then putting it out in the game. And it's the same way with teaching. You have your practice, your lesson plan, I guess I should say, and then, you know, your games or the tests and the quizzes. So you just kind of take what you know from football and try to translate as much as possible.
I read you're very involved with camps as well in the off-season. Is that another opportunity to teach?
Oh, it's awesome just to be able to work with those high school players, those middle school players, and, you know, now getting even with those elementary school players. It's amazing to see how much they love the game of football. And that's really, you know, I hear Coach Bullis talk about it all the time, how much he loves Division III football, and, you know, why he stayed in here is just the love and the respect, admiration you give from your players. And you see those young kids out there and they just want nothing more than to please you, and when they do something right, you tell them just the look in their eyes. And, you know, I have 2 kids myself, so I can really appreciate that even more now, but I love getting a chance to work with those kids. It's another challenge. You get to hone your skills a little bit more with working with younger kids, and it's just great to see young kids so happy about playing the game of football, the game that's given myself and all these other players and coaches so much over our years of playing and coaching. It's great to be able to pass that on.
Following up on that, Kyle, one of the things that is topic now, especially in the NFL and even on the higher college levels with the concussions and things like that, a lot of it, and I know when I was playing high school football many years ago, it was more important with the type of technique that you used in terms of tackling and so on and so forth. Is that one of the things that you kind of stress when you're working in these camps?
Oh, you always, you know, teaching tackling is the first thing you do. The first 2 days of camp, from when, you know, I was a player all the way to Pee Wee football all the way up, and it's the same thing we do every year. I'm sure our players get tired of it, but, you know, the first 2 days of camp, we're teaching tackling fundamentals. If nothing from a liability standpoint, it's just, it's good football. You don't want kids to get hurt. You don't want kids to have concussions. And put my own personal spin on it, I guess playing linebacker all those years, I never had 1 concussion. So you hear people talk about it all the time. For me, I really can't wrap my mind around it because I never had any experience with it.
We've got experience coaching linebackers, coaching running backs. Is it easier to teach someone how to tackle properly, or is it easier to teach them how to avoid getting tackled?
It's easier to teach them how to avoid. You do that all your life. You got an older brother, you learn how to avoid a tackle at one point in time in your life. Now, to break down, and you're running full speed as somebody's running full speed back at you, to break down and tackle properly and stay injury-free, it is tougher. So guys have to have really good body movements, good physical movements, and be strong in their entire body to be able to do that and do it safely.
You were talking about coaching the defensive tackles, and you've got a couple of dandies right now. Brandon Tampson, Tim Regan, Tim, I know, was one of the student athletes here this evening. Those guys have really blossomed the last couple of years.
And they're both juniors, so it's a great thing. I'd love to say it's all coaching, but I honestly, I can't do it. They're 2 great people on top of anything else, and not to mention their football attributes and the things they can do on the field. They take coaching really well. They want nothing more than to improve as players, to be the best player they can, to take the coaching and also help teach those younger guys. We have, you know, 2 guys underneath them, and Yuri Bogosian and Harry Green, that they're trying to mentor along and get them up, and those guys, you'll both see them on Friday. I won't say Saturday, but Friday. You'll see those guys get some playing time, and they're both amazing guys. I hope nothing best for all 4 of those guys, but with Tim and Brandon, they're the leaders of the defensive tackles there, and it's great working with those 2 guys.
Coach Bullis came from the defensive line.
Oh, yeah.
He's doing his head coaching duties, but I'm curious, is he a hands-off guy, kind of let you do things? Does he offer some guidance? Is it a combination of things?
Coach Bullis is very aware of how good of a defensive coach he is. I know he'll never say he's the most humblest guy I've ever seen in my entire life, but I've never seen a better D-line coach in my career, as short as it is. But he really does let Coach Kishline and myself really learn by making mistakes, learn by doing it. He'll offer his 2 cents in every now and again, but he really does kind of let us do our own thing. But I ever have a question, you know, he's one of the first people I want to go talk to. He's a D-line technician, and the way he gets guys going and the way to play for him. So I try to pick his brain and Coach O'Grady's brain. Coach Bullis talk about too whenever I get a chance.
Coach talked about it in the first segment of our program this evening, Kyle. Not only was he very proud of the seniors and really the entire ball club for that matter, and how they responded to losing to Oshkosh over the weekend. He was also very complimentary of the coaching staff as well. And like we asked Dylan when he was up here, what were your first thoughts after you put that game behind you from last week as you move forward this week?
In any game, there's going to be a winner and a loser. You know, you go in knowing that. So my thoughts were, you know, we don't need to change anything. We know the process. We understand it. We know it works. Maybe we need to refocus a little bit and just work on maybe the little things a little bit more. But man, it was business as usual as far as practice goes, as far as the coaches, and you know, we weren't there till 4 in the morning the next day, you know, critiquing and trying to overcoach. You know, you go out, you know the process, you handle business as usual. I think all the players did that as well.
I know some of lacrosse's experience comes on their offensive line,
Yep.
so that's who you're lined up against directly. What are some of the keys to getting pressure in the backfield against lacrosse?
It always starts with stopping the run. You want to make them one-dimensional. We stop the run, we know they have to pass. After that, we just let our D-line, you know, we always say you play run, you react to pass. So we take what the O-line gives us, and they're starting to pass that a lot, and we can start to tee off a little bit and work those good pass rush transitions, and guys are going to end up having sacks and all that. Coverage behind it is huge. You know, you can't say enough about our DBs and our linebackers. When they have those good coverage and our quarterback has to double clutch that ball or try to move around and get a little nervous, our D-line are going to beat those one-on-one blocks and go make some things happen back there.
Yeah, I think I don't have the stats in front of me right now, but I think when I looked earlier this week, the Warhawks are one of the top teams as far as sacks in the league in the WIAC, and I think Brandon leads with like 5 tackles for a loss, something like that.
Yeah, Brandon's up there, and everyone always makes fun of him that he's the guy at the top of the sacks, and you know it's all good-natured in the D-line room, but it really is a result of that great coverage behind him. You know, it is. We'll beat those one-on-one battles, or those 2-on-1 battles, even at the DT spot. But that coverage behind it, and just us just being technicians, following our training, using those proper techniques, and good things are going to happen from there.
Final thought, we talked about this with some of the other coaches. There's been kind of a trend over the last couple of years of more spread offenses as opposed to the more traditional pro style that we've been familiar with here in Whitewater. Does that make any additional pressure, especially on the interior defensive line when you're looking at teams that are going to go 5 wide or things like that?
Not more pressure, it's just you don't want to be lulled to sleep by it. You know, they're going to pass, and you know, we're just, you know, working our moves, charging, and then playing run, and then we got to react and go run at the football. It's one of those things you just don't want to be lulled to sleep by. You want to remember your training. You don't want to get out of it and start pass rushing when they're going to run the ball. Now all of a sudden you're in bad technique, bad situations, bad form. So it's just one of those things that you just got to remember your training. You just got to keep working, keep working. You do your job and good things are going to happen from there. And that's just what we've always stressed. And those D linemen, those guys have bought into it 100%. So it does get frustrating. From a D line perspective, DT mainly, you know, the quarterback's just sitting back there throwing it, and you know, 1.5 seconds. It's a little tough to get to them, but eventually it wears on, and then that 3rd and 4th quarter happens, and as we say in the D-line, we start to eat a little bit there. So
there you go.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, Kyle, you've done a great job, not only with your career here as a player, but also being with the coaching staff all these years. Congratulations, and thanks for joining us tonight.
No problem. It's always a pleasure.
All right. Kyle Supianoski, ladies and gentlemen, executive tackle coach for the Warhawks. When we come back, we'll get some final thoughts from Kevin Bullis as the quarterback club and coaches show continues here on Cool 106.5 and online at 940WFAW.com.